Hey everybody, I may have found my new favorite faction mod for Warhammer 3, which is saying something because there's quite a few really good faction mods out there. But what I like about this one is that it adds just a completely new way to play the game. So, what is this mod? Well, first of all, I've spent most of the last couple of days playing this mod and having a blast with it, and it took me so long to play it and then to stop long enough to work up a script. And of course, I noticed that by the time that I had done that, by the time I started recording this and had written the script, I see that the Great Book of Grudges already has a mod review out for this particular mod, so I'm going to go ahead and link to his review. I listened to it. He does a great job, as he always does, of going through the mods. So I'm going to try not to spend very much time covering all the same things that he talked about in his review, but I do want to just kind of add my voice to his and any others that have covered this particular mod, because I do think it is worthy of getting all the attention that it can get. So, finally, what am I talking about? I am, of course, talking about the Blackskullz Horde by Mortrau. And first of all, first point that I want to make is that Mortrau is, of course, the same mod author who created the Godslayer mod, which is an absolute fantastic mod, one of my favorite other faction mods for this game. And this Blackskullz Horde is basically giving the Horde mechanic to Greenskins, which I'm going to actually read out the way that he says it because I like the way that he explains it, but I think he's absolutely right. Basically, this is a mechanic that has been missing in Warhammer 3, and it's just super nice to have this available now as a change of pace. So, what does he say? I'm going to go ahead and read through the very little beginning part of the intro here. So, I'm a huge fan of Warhammer 2, Warriors of Chaos full Horde mechanic. Yes, I know it is weak in comparison with Beastmen of Ord-Nikai, because you do not have the ability to control destroyed territories, but I miss so much that freedom to go anywhere without need to worry about what's left behind. Also, I tired of many new power creep mechanics, so I wish to go back to early Warhammer 2 minimalism and hardcore experience. So, I agree with all of that. Again, it's not for everyone, and it's not going to be the way that I would want to play all the time, but it's really nice to have this available as an option. Basically, you can just wreak havoc everywhere that you go, but not have to worry about defending at all. Even Khorne, for example, playing Khorne recently, you have to worry about the territory that you that you conquer, or that in the case of Khorne, kind of gets drawn to destruction and joins your empire. So there's pretty much everywhere this aspect of even the Horde factions where you do also have to kind of combine defense with offense. Well, I can say after messing around with this one, you don't really have to worry about defense too much at all. And that is going to lead to one of the first points that I make. It's a very slight criticism of the mod, but it's a purely subjective one, which is you're so daggone powerful, and you don't have any real natural enemies where you start out with this particular mod, which is great in many respects. It kind of lets you have a complete sandbox experience where you can go whichever direction you want to go. You start out just south of the Empire. You could go north up into the Empire. You can go south. You can go east. You can go west. You basically have every option available to you. And I'll jump into the campaign here and show you what I did. But you don't have any natural enemies, and you don't have any territory to defend. And that combination, when I say natural enemies, what I mean is there's no major factions that are starting out right next to you that you have to worry about, even if you pick a fight with them, that they're going to be too powerful for you, that you could end up losing this game in the very early going. In fact, you can pretty much auto-resolve your way through most battles in the early going until you're already starting to feel very powerful if you want to. So anyway, that's just something to think about for people who are looking for a more challenging experience. This is going to be probably a little bit on the easy side. However, having said that, it's still just so daggone fun. So anyway, the The faction focuses very much on the Black Orcs. As we all know, Black Orcs are very strong. You start out with a decent number of them in your starting army, and of course you have access to recruit more, just not quite right away. You do have the ability to recruit regular, lower tier orcs from the very beginning, and when you combine that with the Black Orcs that you start out with, it's very easy to get a very strong army in the early going. The trade-off is, of course, that you don't have access to any of the goblins, so he's almost like the anti-Skarsnik in this respect. Skarsnik can't recruit orcs. This guy cannot recruit goblins. But again, very thematic. The other thing thematically, which I find to be really, really interesting, and I think other people will as well, is that this faction thematically plays into basically punishing the Chaos Dwarves for what they've done to to create the Black Orcs and then have this rebellion happen, and basically they're your natural enemy. So your victory conditions are going to be all about wiping out the Chaos Dwarf factions, and again, it kind of plays right into a really clever theme for these guys. So jumping into my campaign, what I chose to do is just right off the bat go ahead and declare war here on this minor Greenskins faction. Go ahead and take Fort Saul, which I ended up just raising. And every time you raise a settlement with Scarfang here, you get a little bit of additional campaign movement, which what I found out is it's just exactly enough campaign movement to go ahead and throw yourself into either raiding stance or encampment stance in order to replenish. So this is really nice because as a Horde faction, you don't have your own friendly territory to replenish in. So instead, you just have a couple of stances that are available to you to do your replenishing. And so you can pretty easily stay on top of keeping your army topped off if you do make a consistent habit of raising enemy settlements and then just going into one of those two stances. So what I decided to do was turn around and head south into the Border Princes territory. I figured it was a good, relatively safe way to still be doing lots of damage and still get the a feel for the play style while not facing any enemy that is terribly difficult. In hindsight now, it probably would have been a more challenging campaign had I gone north and decided to take on Wissenland and Nuln, or even go so far up as to threaten Reichland. Although they have so many enemies from the very beginning that it's extremely possible that you might be able to wreak havoc with them as well. So basically, again, just wanted to reiterate, you've got these different choices available to you in terms of where you want to go and what type of a campaign that you want to have right out of the get-go. Now, again, your victory conditions do require you to eventually make sure that all of the Chaos Dwarves are wiped out. So at a certain point, you are going to definitely want to head eastward. And since you don't have to worry about any defending, it really doesn't take all that long to get over there. Now, I did play this on Legendary very hard, but vanilla settings other than the use of this mod. So what you can see here is with the regular vanilla campaign movement. It would definitely make this campaign quite a bit more challenging if you use the reduced campaign movement mod, which we usually do on this channel. So that's something that I'm actually considering trying in a Let's Play on this channel at some point if people have interest in it. But yeah, with the regular vanilla movement, you can pretty much fight at least one battle every turn if you want to. And that just kind of plays right into your strengths. But like I said, it could be considerably more challenging if you do reduce the campaign movement. Now, the starting armies here for the Border Princes, for example, I basically threw caution to the wind and headed straight towards his strongest army inside the settlement, and it really doesn't matter. It ends up being a relatively easy battle to win. And even though they outnumber us, we still have the stronger units, and so we have the advantage in battle against them. So another quick and easy victory for Scarfang here, and then you just raise again, go ahead and drop yourself into a stance that allows you replenishment, and you can just keep on going. Your legendary hero has got some very powerful spells, and so it doesn't take very long to start leveling these guys up. Both your legendary lord and your legendary hero feel quite powerful. They feel pretty good in battle. Definitely, if you're a fan of Black Orcs, this is now going to be the best faction to play as, because they do a heck of a lot. Basically, everything they do revolves around the Black Orcs. You are, of course, dependent on your growth as a horde, so it's pretty good balance. It basically forces you to not be recruiting any additional lords unless you want to sacrifice the growth of your main horde building. So in the early going, what I decided to do is stick to the single army, but you do have that option available to you. If you want to spend 2 of your growth, then it'll set you back a little bit in terms of growing this one horde army, but that's how you end up getting some additional lords and additional horde armies for your faction. And of course, once you get down to Myrmidons itself, and in this case, I had already wrecked all of their armies, so all they had left was the settlement garrison here. Pretty easy victory. At this point, obviously the border princes are completely emasculated, and so it's just a matter of picking off their remaining settlements one at a time. Not much resistance being offered, but this is good. This gave me the time to build up my horde to becoming a full stack and getting a little bit of growth going as well. So you do have to grow up to level 3 before you can really take advantage of actually recruiting the Black Orcs instead of just using the ones that you start out with. If you ever need some extra money, all you have to do is, of course, sack first and then go back and raise a turn later. So even though the units themselves are reasonably expensive, I did not personally find money to be much of an issue at all. Of course, it's a lot easier when you only have a single army to worry about. And of course, since you have so many Black Orc units at the very beginning, and you yourself do a good job of buffing them, and your character units are very strong as well, pretty much you're going to have the advantage over any early armies that you run into, or at least I did in the early going. So it does make for some fairly quick and easy battles here, which can be good, or it can be a bad thing if you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge in the early going. So that's about all that I had to add. Again, I would encourage anybody who's interested in this to check out Great Book of Grudges video that he did on this faction. Really fun. It does scratch that itch, which quite frankly I have been missing without even really realizing that I've been missing it for a long time. Just that ability to go on pure offense and not have to worry about defense at all, and just, you know, some people want to watch the world burn. Is that the expression from Batman? Anyway, sometimes I just feel like watching the world burn, or I feel like being the one who's doing the burning. And so it's just kind of a liberating feeling every once in a while to be able to rampage around and just wreak havoc and wreak destruction everywhere you go. So definitely this faction does scratch that itch. All right, anyway, apologize for kind of bouncing around a little bit. Like I said, my original script got thrown out the window because pretty much most of it is the stuff that Great Book of Grudges already went through. But I did want to basically add to what he said, which is that this is a really well done mod. I didn't run into any problems with it other than the very, very slight subjective criticism of you feel very strong at the early part of the campaign. There's really, really a lot to like and not really anything to dislike about this mod. So let me know if you've messed around with this one yourself. Also, let me know if you have any interest in seeing this faction in a Let's Play on the campaign. And I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.